start in Kenya, and police now want Devolution Cabinet Secretary Waiguru to be a prosecution witness in the National Youth Service, shilling a 791 million shilling scandal. The team of detectives from the Banking Fraud Investigations Unit resubmitted their file to the Director of Public Prosecutions, Keriako Tobiko, listing Waiguru as a witness. Tobiko confirmed that CID sent the file to his office on Friday, listing the Waiguru as a witness and promised to make a decision soon. Tobiko said he is also waiting for another file from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and Kenya Revenue Authority, who are also independently investigating the matter. Tobiko had sent the file back to the investigating agencies in September after an initial probe by the CID proved inactionable. While sending back the file to the CID, Tobiko said it was important that the CS record a statement. The CS was grilled in her office by the officers where she recorded her statement. Tobiko said several aspects of fraud raised in the file fell under the mandate of the EFCC. It was then that he also sent a copy to the KRA for action. KRA have also contacted the CS and other officials mentioned. President Uhuru Kenyatta made the fight against graft a priority on taking office in 2013, but critics say he has failed to sweep out corrupt officials in a nation where corruption is seen as a major obstacle to business and law enforcement. Past Kenyan governments have made similar commitments to fight corruption, only to have campaigns fizzle away. Anti-graft campaigner John Givongo says the current government could be the most corrupt yet.
By politicians has thrust corruption to the forefront of Kenyan newspapers and political dialogue. Accusations include procurement of pens worth $87 each. Kenya's first anti-corruption advisor John Givongo quit in 2005 and later blew the whistle on one of the country's biggest graft scandals.
This is the most corrupt Kenya has been since we started measuring corruption in the 90s. And I've been involved in this area for almost 20 years. This is the worst it's ever been. Before, we had corruption, serious corruption, kleptocracy. We used to call money Waiguru, you know. But back then, we realized now the corruption was centralized, you know. It was organized, it was managed. Now it's a free-for-all, you know. Everything being eaten. Everyone is eating.
Analysts say graft has choked growth in Kenya, deterred potential investors and left millions languishing in poverty. There was hope for change when Mwai Kibaki swept to power in December 2002 and his new government declared war on corruption. But not one minister was ever convicted of graft, Anglo-leasing, a scandal involving government funds being paid to shadowy foreign companies for services ranging from forgery-proof passports to naval ships and forensic laboratories, which never materialized, remains a legacy of both Moi and Kibaki's governments. Givongo, who blew the whistle on Anglo-leasing, says Kenyans have paid the ultimate price.
All the security contracts were supposed to bring us the infrastructure to deal with this problem. They were eaten. They were eaten. Because they were eaten, Westgate, Garissa, all the grenades that are going off, that's the price that we pay.
Somali Islamic group Al-Shabaab has killed hundreds of people, including 67 during a siege in Nairobi's Westgate Mall in 2013, and an attack on a university that killed 148 people in the eastern town of Garissa this year. A teacher's strike in September left over 1 million children on their own for weeks after teachers went on strike to demand a pay increase of 60%. The courts ruled against the pay rise, but the government said it could not pay. Kenya's budget deficit for the financial year starting July 1st is already forecast to be 8.7% of gross domestic product from 7.8% last year. Rampant graft and an economy some analysts say is in crisis has piled on the pressure on President Uhuru Kenyatta, who, like his predecessor, promised to be tough on corruption.
That some of our public services are rife with waste and corruption. That waste threatens the productivity we have so painfully begun to build.
Kenyatta has promised a crackdown and several ministers have been suspended as graft charges are investigated.
Where is this money going? Hii pesa inaenda wapi? That what we are requesting the president. Asinyamaze tu, kila siku watu wanalia, watu wanapiga kelele, wanasema mbona rais ananyamaza? Let him talk. Achukue action, atoe watu. Ama adissolve all cabinet. He has to appoint another. A new one ambayo Kenya watakuwa wameshukuru.
Kenya's opposition has raised concerns about a lack of accountability for millions raised through a $2 billion Eurobond issued last year. The money was in development, energy and agriculture, among other investments, but some analysts say the government is cash-strapped.
If you have a Eurobond of $2.75 billion and no one can tell us clearly where $2 billion went, no one can account for it clearly. That is an outrage that on a scale that we as Kenyans have never experienced.
Kenya's National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich played down a recent surge in interest rates, saying steady inflation and other factors were in place to ensure they came down, and denied accusations that Eurobond money had been diverted.
There are no mysterious accounts. In fact, how can a whole government run mysterious accounts? That's not even inconceivable. It's not possible, and so clearly we wanted to clarify that bit.
Transparency International ranked Kenya 136 out of 177 of the world's most corrupt countries in a corruption perception index in 2013. The country scored 26 on a scale of 0 to 100, with 0 being highly corrupt. A report by Kenya's Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission this year outlined allegations against members of parliament, senators and governors in what local media dubbed the list of shame. President Kenyatta, who came to power on a Jubilee Coalition party ticket, vowed to pursue convictions in those cases, which include Anglo leasing.
What is unique under the Jubilee regime is that we are finding out about the scandals in advance of the election. That's also partly because we have certain constitutional bodies that are functioning as they should. The Comptroller of Budget, the Auditor General, elements of the judiciary are functioning as they should. So, you know, it's a dark cloud with a silver lining. But politics is at the heart of corruption. But politics is what elects. Corruption is what finances politics in Kenya.
Kenyan police on Tuesday arrested a journalist who wrote about corruption at a government ministry, provoking a backlash of media groups alleging the arrest was part of a wider government effort to trample on free speech and media reforms. Ellen Wanjiro, KTN News.